Let me make this as clear as I can. If I am stuck in the woods with a ton of zombies and I need help, I expect at least one of you to come help.
Sir, you just went missing. We didn't know where you were.
If this happens again, we're done. You hear? You're going back to either Cybertron, Engine World, I don't care. You two, and Jumpster for that matter, are done. This isn't happening again, you hear me? Good.
Did you at least see Bigfoot while you were out in the woods?
No, I did not run into Bigfoot while I was out in the woods. Hang on. That reminds me. Oh, right, my next review.
Hey, Travis Crabtree, wait a minute for me. Let's go back in the bottom, back where the fish are biting, where all the world's inviting.
Sorry you had to see all that. Welcome to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. One of the most popular of all the cryptids would of course be Bigfoot, and it's very tempting for filmmakers to make movies about it, like 1, 2, 3, or a few hundred. Even if it does mean that they will unfortunately become cult classics like The Legend of Boggy Creek, as opposed to big mainstream blockbusters.
The Legend of Boggy Creek is admittedly not a movie for everyone. Although it is very atmospheric and all the events portrayed in the film are based on actual sightings of the folk monster, with actual people living in the area the film was being shot in, reenacting their own encounters with the creature, I can see people not being interested in the movie because of its partial documentary format, leaving the film without a central cast or narrative.
Well, that and nobody dies in this movie. It is based off real Bigfoot sightings after all. I mean, sure, there is this one part where a guy gets spooked while in the toilet, and another where a guy gets grabbed, but other than that, this isn't really meant to be a cheesy monster movie.
Return to Boggy Creek isn't as fondly remembered by viewers or the director of the first film, which is why he came back for a sequel, and how did that turn out? Alright, it appeared on the final season of MST3K. But hey, both films at least retain the documentary style, which most Bigfoot horror movies in the years following did not. Most Bigfoot movies you've probably seen are low-budget killer monster films that are really the same movie over and over again, just with a different cast. But in 2010, a decision to remake the original Boggy Creek movie was made.
And was it going to be inspired by the original film using its atmosphere and suspense? Or was it going to be more like modern-day Bigfoot movies where big hairy creatures are tearing apart 25-year-old teenagers?
So after that random opening kill and the police coming across yet another dead body in a car, we cut to the victim's daughter, Jennifer, meeting with her friend Maya, planning a trip to the cabin in the woods her father used to live in to get over his death, aka the same stupid logic used in numerous other horror movies before and after this that people don't actually do after the death of a loved one. Also...
Remember when I told you my father's godson was staying with us for a few weeks?
Yeah, Dave or something. You just said your dad's, like, helping him with career planning and stuff.
Right. I invited him to stay with us at the cabin for a couple.
Okay, fine. As long as my step-cousin doesn't bring along, oh, damn it, a bitchy girlfriend character who's only in the movie because they want two characters to fuck and to have a slightly higher body count. Not only is this a character archetype I don't like, but in this movie, it's very blatant. Maya's step-cousin is a similar archetype. You know what it is, the character who starts the movie dating a bitch, but her attitude pushes him away from her and towards the primary female character, i.e. Jennifer. Seen it millions of times before, and it's no different here. But more on that later. When Jennifer and her friends arrive at her father's cabin, she meets some other guy living in the woods nearby named Dustin, who tells the story of what happened to his wife a year earlier, being kidnapped by Bigfoot.
There's a pattern. It seems that he mutilates and kills the males, and the females, it seems he abducts. Every abduction, every murder is gone unsolved. And believe this, they will continue to go unsolved as long as it's still out there.
But why just abduct the females?
creature is very human-like. Its anatomy is very similar to that of a male human. Very similar. Close enough that it can breathe like a human female. So yeah.
How do you know that? No, seriously, how do you know that? Did you read the script?
I get the impression one would get with a dead man in the woods and a missing woman, but this guy talks as if he knows it's some kind of creature and not a human doing the killings and kidnappings. As expected, we get a scene of Maya's step-cousin and his girlfriend having sex, while Jennifer and Maya are in the next room hearing all the noise they're making.
And even though there's a cliche going on in the other room, I really like this scene. I mean, the acting has been kind of meh all throughout this movie, but this scene between Jennifer and Maya honestly feels like a real moment between two friends.
You know, I don't know how your rotten parents got such a wonderful daughter. They are crazy.
No, but that's why I have you.
That's right. You know that's true.
I love you, girl.
I love you too, Maya. Thanks for coming with me.
Of course.
Even if you had to bring a circus.
I'm sorry. It'll get better, I promise.
You always gotta bring a party with you.
I know,
every
right?
occasion.
Hey, just want you to have fun, girl. Good night.
This scene is the primary reason why I'm referring to these two by their actual names, unlike the fuckers in the other room. Because I actually care. And these two actresses have decent chemistry. In fact, the surprise appearance of Maya's boyfriend in the next scene makes me think that he was included to prove the heterosexuality of Jennifer and Maya. I don't know why. This movie already was heading in the direction of being a schlocky monster flick, and I'd assume the filmmakers would make Jennifer and Maya lovers for the sake of titillating the audience. Sure, I think it would work character-wise, but if they were going to try to make the movie trash, I'd assume the filmmakers would take advantage of the sexual tension between female characters, since it's usually the male characters that get attacked on love interest to prove they're totally not gay in movies. Like how Top Gun added new scenes with Maverick and Charlotte to make it look less gay, and didn't succeed. So seeing this new double standard not in effect is an oddity for me.
Come on, Werezilla, why are you wasting your time on these characters? When are you going to talk about Bigfoot? Well, don't worry. You don't have to wait much longer. This was the only interesting scene in the entire film.
I'm not kidding, this is a very dull movie. There's lots of shots of Jennifer just walking around the woods, the 5 characters sitting around, riding on a boat, and scenes of the bitch girlfriend getting jealous of Maya's step-cousin talking to Jennifer. Keep in mind, he's not flirting, he's just making conversation, and Jennifer seems too spaced out to notice for the most part. But like I said, it's a cliche that this movie felt needed to be included. As is including 2 random characters we've never seen before getting killed during all of this. Needless to say, the bitchy girlfriend eventually ditches the group, steals one of their cars, only to get stuck on the side of the road and captured by what appear to be multiple Bigfoots. Well, that's a little different. In fact, the final 15 minutes of this movie is very different from the original Boggy Creek, as the boys are quickly killed off in the span of a few minutes, forcing the girls to flee into the woods. Now, of all the things this movie could have linked back to the original Boggy Creek film, they chose this bit where Maya's boyfriend is attacked while he's taking a dump. Of all the things to appear in every Boggy Creek movie, why is it this? So unfortunately, Maya gets dragged off by one of the Bigfoots, and Dustin shows up with some helpful advice?
You've got to run to the highway.
Thanks, Dustin. I'll do that thing I was gonna do anyway. Jennifer runs until morning, making it to the side of the road, but the sight of more Bigfoots caused her to simply give up and let her drag them away. Here's my question. Why end the movie here? There's still potential for a story about her and Maya escaping the Bigfoots, but that doesn't happen.
I guess they figured they reached feature length with all the scenes with Jennifer walking in the woods and the group just sitting around, so the hell with it.
I can only guess this was a rookie production because I noticed quite a few problems all throughout, and I'm not just talking about narrative ones, simple filmmaking problems. Yes, the original film was also made by a first-timer, but Charles Pierce seemed to have a better handle on how to shoot a movie. The tops of the actors' heads are often cut off by the top of the frame, shots linger longer than needed, and there is no tension. There's nothing exciting to catch the viewer's attention, and the Bigfoot costumes are Well, you can tell that they're costumes because of the folds on them. And I honestly don't like it when Bigfoot movies have human-looking faces on their creature. Sure, the original film used an ordinary gorilla suit, but it was obscured for most of the movie. Speaking of which, there's another problem: the tone. In the original Boggy Creek, as well as the sequels, the creature was a solitary beast that wasn't actively harming anyone. It was spotted by people, but it wasn't a monster, more of an animal minding its own business. But these creatures are actively murdering and raping people. If remakes need to get anything right, it's tone, and this movie couldn't be any more different from the original.
Now, this is all assuming that this movie was intended to be a remake of the original Boggy Creek. But I'm not so sure about that anymore.
I kept mentioning the schlocky B-movie genre for a reason. It has its place, and in the right mindset, group of friends while watching, what available snacks there are, and which movie you are watching, you can have a blast. A lot of Bigfoot movies are trying to be this enjoyable trash, including this one, but it feels less like enjoyable trash, or a cheesy monster movie for that matter, but rather the dime a dozen films you find on the Sci-Fi Channel or in the bargain bin at your local Walgreens. Perhaps the biggest problem of them all, though, is not the lack of caring about characters or the token story or the way the film is shot. It's the fact that it calls itself Boggy Creek. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have even noticed and, reviewed Boggy Creek 2 in its place. I know it appeared on MST3K, but hey, that didn't stop me before with the Gamera movies.
Or, as simply put as I can make it, this movie was ultimately a waste of time.
Oh, it's happening again. Oh, fuck.
Don't know who's responsible for that headache, but one day I'm gonna get that filthy animal.
This is where the story plays, a world on which we seldom gaze. A page from the book of yesterdays, birds and beast and wind and water.